I had a problem. And here it is. That 3-jaw self-centering chuck is bell-mouthed. So follow along with me and I'll show you what I did to fix it. Lately I've had quite a bit of trouble when turning parts. Chatter, poor surface finish, and parting off can be a real beast, with the parting tool digging in and galling surfaces. I even snapped one off last week. Now I hear you asking, what is bell-mouthing? What do you want from me?
What is bell-mouthing?
But I don't know anything about it.
I ain't gonna ask you again.
It wasn't me! So, what is bell-mouthing? Well, I've got some cardboard and some pieces of paper here. I might try and explain what's going on. So if you consider the shape of a bell, the shape is, well, tapered or conical, as you can see by these lines. And that's what happens to your chuck if it's got bell-mouthing. Next thing is to make some parts. Okay, since you're still with me, I can tell you a little bit more. To repair my chuck, the jaws must be held in a firm and stable position, then they're cut. That can be done by using a cutting tool such as boring bar, but that equates to an interrupted cut with lots of vibration and no guarantee the surfaces will finish equal and even. And there's a high chance the cutting tool could break. I chose to use a grinder. In fact, I chose to use an air-powered grinder. Die grinder, in fact, because it has plenty of power, it spins at high speed, and also the body has somewhat parallel sides. That makes it pretty easy to mount on the lathe. I've seen a few methods other people have used to repair their chucks, and frankly I wasn't that keen, so that's why I've come up with this other method myself. Now here's what I've made up to hold the die grinder in the tool post. It's quite simple. A little bit of plate with a hole large enough for the die grinder to fit. And mounted a piece which that can go easily tool post like so. Die grinder comes in behind and fits. And all I've got to do is do up the grub screw that clamps, and it's ready to go. Okay, so to get the job done, I need 4 more parts. That's 3 homemade clamps and a ring. First I measured up one of the jaws and milled the clamps so they fit, so that's what one looks like. So it fits snugly against the back of one of the jaws step. See, there's grub screws slotted through the clamp fit onto the jaw and down hard against the back of that step there. I'll show you on one here. It fits there all the way on and hard up that way. The same this one here. Hard down against that lip. And then it's just a matter of tightening the screws. I would have had them all the grub screws facing the same direction before. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to do it this way for now. And with all those in place, gives me somewhere to put a ring. And that's this fella. I've worked out the outside diameter of that so that when the jaws are out far enough for the stones on this fella to fit inside, well, that outside ring will fit against that ledge on each one of those clamps. Let's have a look at that. So I can fit that ring in there. Just like that. Now I've only lightly tightened those, so I will not tighten this really hard now. But it doesn't need to be any tighter than just quite firm. We'll put a nice outward pressure on those jaws, and then it's ready for the repair.
So how did you do it? How'd you do it, mother?
These clamps are a really good fit onto the jaws. They've got to be. They were milled so that they have nice parallel sides and grip well, and they're on tight. I definitely don't want one coming off and hit me in the flaming head. There's the ring fitted. You might be able to see the jaw face just off the bottom of the ring there, and tightened fairly firm. And so, okay, how did I do it? Well, this is how I did it. I started from the inside, since that's where the highest spot was, and just came outwards until it just nicely touched the metal. Did a couple of passes in this, using this method, probably about a half a thou cut each time, and this particular one was, I believe, the last pass. Oh, by the way, this was necessary to try and keep the grinding dust off the lathe. Piece of good solid corrugated cardboard fitted nicely around. Well, the job was a success. The lathe chuck actually works quite well, and it's probably more accurate than it's ever been. But there's still a little bit more that has to be done. Just one thing that's really important. I'm going to have to wipe down all this lathe and make sure that I remove all that stuff from the grinding. If I don't get rid of that, I'll end up with all the ways all wearing out in no time at all. And the same can be said for the chuck. The chuck's a little bit different. I'm going to have to completely dismantle that chuck to give it a really good clean out, a wash out, a clean out. So, how do you pull apart and clean out a lathe chuck?
How did you clean the chuck?
No!